If you can hear me, please put a message in the Telegram, on your Telegram, not here. Oh. Please put a message on Telegram if you can hear me clearly. If you can hear me clearly, please put a message on Telegram. If you can hear me clearly, please put a message. Okay, thank you. That will be all. I think I can release you because I'm going to be here till 9. So let me just release you and let me go and put the link in there. I need to plug this thing. Please come and plug this thing for me. That thing is loud though. Please close your door. Please give me a biro or a pencil. Maybe it should be in my bag, but Jordan should give me his pencil.
I'm giving you pencil.
Thank you.
That's
That's all. Thank you. Okay, good evening. And here we go. Here we go. Good evening, you are welcome. If you can hear me, please let me know you can hear me in the comment section. If you can hear me, please let me know you can hear me. Good evening. You are welcome. We are starting in earnest. We are starting in earnest. Good evening. Good evening. You are welcome. Please let me know if you can hear me. In this class, we're going to be discussing the cost of getting a certificate of occupancy. Please let me know if you can hear me. Please let me know if you can hear me. Please confirm that you can hear me. Please confirm that you can hear me so we get right into it. Good evening and you are welcome. Please confirm that you can hear me and so we get right into it because we have a lot to cover. A lot to cover. We're talking about understanding the cost of getting a certificate of occupancy. This question has come at us many times. There are a lot of people in our DMs asking us the same question, and it's not that easy to answer. It's not a 10-minute answer. So we decided that you asked for it and you will get it. You asked to know the cost of getting a certificate of occupancy because a certificate of occupancy is one of those things you do to your real estate investments that gives you return, great return on your investment. And so if you know the cost, of course, you can plan for it, you can take steps towards it. Considering that, if you get a certificate of occupancy on a property, the minute that certificate of occupancy is out, the very minute that it is out, the price of that property can move as high as 60-70%, depending on the location. It can move as high as 60-70%. So it's wise to know what it will cost you to get a certificate of occupancy. And the information is not easy to collate. Hence, we went through the work of collating the most basic pieces of information along this line to bring to you here. Now, if you have not liked this video, please like. We'll be glad if you can help us by liking. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It will do us a lot of good and we'll be very glad. It's the least you can do to help us, right? Since we're bringing this to you absolutely free, and I can guarantee you there's so much in here. So if you have a friend, if you have a colleague, if you have a spouse who you are talking about getting a certificate of occupancy, if you're talking about it in your office, you might want to invite your colleagues, you might want to invite them to come in and come and listen. Come and listen. So grab your coffee or if it's your soda and your popcorn and sit down and let's get this ball rolling. Let's get this ball rolling. So, in this class, like we said, we're going to get right into it. There's so much to say. We can't spend forever waiting. They'll join us along the way. What we're going to be learning in this class, these are the basic things we're talking about. What is perfection of title? I know we are talking of a certificate of occupancy, but when we explain the meaning of a title document, you will understand why it is important that we discuss it. The general requirements for perfection of title, the different kinds of title that can be procured and their requirements, and some reasons why perfection of title is delayed, because people come to us and say, oh, this person has been working on title for us for so long and it's not out. Why is it not out? Why is it taking so long? Why is it running into years? We'll talk about some of the reasons why title perfection can be delayed. So get ready, we're in for a long ride and it's a very interesting one. Okay. So a little about me. A little about me. Who am I? My name is Adebimpe Arinola. I'm a lawyer with over 20 years experience, and I've spent at least the last 14 years talking about real estate consulting and real estate matters. And I got into this space because of certain things that happened to me, even as a lawyer. You know, when a lawyer begins to lose their own money, it comes as a rude shock. And that rude shock sent us to the streets to go and learn what actually is the lowdown in this space. That is how come we have information of the kind that we have spread across platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and here on YouTube. So 300,000 lost in 2009, and multiples of that were made when we could narrow down and zero in on certain things. Of course, multiple of that was made. COVID was a good time business-wise because there was a positioning that made it work. And we have been able to save several investors. It happens every week in our consultation sessions, one-on-one sessions with clients. And through the content that we produce and through the work that we do, we've been able to save hundreds of investors from losing billions of naira in funny offers, funny offers that sometimes they don't know are funny offers. Yes, we have worked as consultants for developers. We have worked for property companies. We've worked for the government. We work for agencies. We've worked for private property owners. And because we have worked for so many entities, so many stakeholders in the real estate ecosystem, we come with information and experience that is do I want to say cross-pollinated? That is that cuts across numerous platforms, because there's no way that you can thrive in the real estate sector without interfacing with some of these other sectors. So these are the sectors that we have worked with, that gives us a broad perspective based on the information that we share in the real estate space. Yes, I am known as Mommy Real Estate on social media. We speak on social media and on traditional media, being on radio, being on TV, educating people. We've educated thousands of people on the reality of the real estate space in Nigeria. The aim is to build trust in the space so that people make investment choices based on informed perspectives. Yes, I am a mother of two generals and the wife of one man. I think enough has been said about me. It's time for us to get into the meat of this. So, like I said, the first thing we're going to be doing is saying, what is perfection of title? So we're talking of what does it cost to get a COV? What does the term perfection of title mean? Perfection of title means your title is perfect. See? Perfecting title means you want to get perfect title. To get perfect title, it means whatever interest you have in real estate, you register it with the government. Whatever interest you have in real estate, you register it with the government. If the interest is registered with the government, your title is said to be perfected. Any interest, somebody might say, but we're talking of C of O. C of O is just one kind of interest. In fact, one kind of title that you can get from the government when you go and register your interest. You can C of O is also the perfecting title is also the process of converting an equitable interest to a legal interest. For example, you buy property from Omonile. Omonile alone, that is an equitable interest. People now say, oh, I want to get my own C of O on this. Is getting a legal interest. A legal interest is the one that the government recognizes. And a lot of big corporations and organizations, what they recognize is also a C of O or a government title. So any of the titles that you can get from the government that you can present because of the structure that the government comes with is what we say you have gone to perfect your title. For example, a sale to somebody sells to another and goes to get a C of O is perfecting title. Somebody takes a lease, maybe it takes a lease for the next 20 years. You can go and register a lease. A lease is a kind of title that you can go and register. You can go and register a lease. If you register a lease, you have registered title because a lease is something that can be registered. So you can perfect your lease. And of course, there's no point perfecting your yearly lease or your yearly rental of a house or of an office. But if you have like a 10-year lease, like a 25-year lease, of course, your interests go beyond just 1 or 2 years. So you might say, okay, whatever business, for whatever reason, you want to perfect that your lease, you go and register it with the government. It is also kind of perfection of title. A mortgage, a mortgage. Somebody takes a mortgage and uses a property to secure it. It's also a kind of perfection of title, because if you know that banks and financial institutions today, they will not touch your landed property except it has government title that we're talking about now. Except it has government title, they won't touch it. And if they now decide that, okay, this property has government title, they are willing to deal in it, then that government title, after they have agreed to take the government title as security for the money, they will now ask you to go and register a mortgage on that existing title. Is also a kind of title perfection. It is a registering a kind of interest on it. A mortgage is a kind of interest. That is loan related. It's a kind of interest. So it can be done by anybody of sound mind and legal capacity, which means that anybody who is going to say, yes, I want to register this interest, it must be a person of sound mind and has legal capacity. For example, a child does not have legal capacity. A child cannot register title, and this begs certain questions of the kind of title documents people are getting today. But that's question for another day. Today we're talking of documents, and C of O being one of the most prominent ones that people want to get when they get into buying property, into investment, and they say they want returns. C of O is one of the major ones. So it can be done by anybody of sound mind. Of course, an agreement can also be entered into only by a person of sound mind and a person that has legal capacity. So a registered company has legal capacity, but just four friends coming together and forming an association, and they did not register that association, they cannot use that association to buy property or to register the interest of that property with the government. They will have to go and register that company first, the four of them, maybe a partnership, maybe a company, maybe an NGO. Then they can say they want to, in that name, process C of O or process title from the government. All right. Okay, so let's go to the next thing. So here is the introduction. The first thing we must know is that this process, the exactitude of this process, right, applies basically to Lagos. However, the same basic set of documents, the same basic process, maybe with a few adjustments, is what you will have in other states of the country. Because based on our activities of perfecting title for people in different states, they all have basically the same documents and the same process. The only thing is that, okay, in one state, one thing might come before the other, or in one state, this process might cost more than this process. But essentially, they all have the same basic processes and basic documents that are required. Now, a person like me now, I'm a human being, I'm one person, going to say I want to perfect title is different from an organization, maybe a company, maybe a bank, maybe a group of companies, maybe an NGO going to register title. They are totally two different things. Certain things will be required from a company that will not be required from an individual. And so the entity that is applying for the C of O is very, very important. The entity that is applying for the C of O is very, very important. Now, we must know primarily that this perfection of title, you know that it is said that land is the new gold. So this process of perfecting title, and you can also perfect title, you know, you can perfect title on either bare land or with a house or a farmland or an assembly plant. As long as it is hosted on the surface of the earth, you can perfect title on it. Now, this process of perfecting title to get a C of O is a revenue generating stream for every state. That's the primary thing you must go home with. It is a revenue generating stream for all the states in the country. So they are not playing games with it. Some states come very cheap, quite affordable. Some states are not. Some states have a season in which they make a window where you can register quick and register cheaply because maybe they want development to hit that area, or maybe they are trying to attract investors into their state. Some states do that at times. But generally, perfection of title is a revenue generating activity for every state government in this country. So you must have that at the back of your mind. However, you must also remember that on the one hand is revenue generating. On the other hand, the day you perfect that title and with your full chest you can say, oh, this is the title to that property. And when they say title, you can say C of O. That property, the price can go from 60 million, it can go to 95 million just because of that title. But you know, you didn't spend 35 million. You spent less than that, a whole lot less. So, depending on the location. So, while it's going to cost you quite good money, it moves the value and the perception of your investment up almost overnight. Almost overnight. So, the success of the process of getting a C of O depends on the success of some steps that you must have taken before you started that C of O processing journey. So if there were some things that you should have done before the C of O processing journey started and you didn't do, they might slow down the C of O processing journey, or you may have to stop the C of O processing journey to go and attend to those things first. Now, the state, one of the things that is supposed to make C of O processing easier, not exactly easy, easier, is the process of doing it digitally. The only state that has gone a bit far, not very far, a bit far in this process is Lagos State. They are the ones that have the most advanced, and even that most advanced, it's not as if it's very advanced too. It's not as if it's very advanced, but any state that has the best semblance of digitalization in their title process, their land documentation and general land conversations, the state that has the most digital process is Lagos State. Abuja has a bit too, but most of the other states, everything is still full paperwork from table to table to table to table, as in normal civil service procedures. All right. If you are just joining us, thank you for joining. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you have not subscribed. It will really help our channel and we'll be glad you did. So we go to the next slide. Here are general requirements. General requirements. So if you want to start talking C of O, title perfection in any state with anybody, here are general requirements that you should start work on. They are the basis of the conversation that anybody coming to work with you will have. Are you trying to do C of O? Are you trying to work on C of O in any state other than Lagos? If you are working on C of O in any state other than Lagos, maybe you should mention it in the comment section. There might be one or two things that will be able to tell you about your state. If you are processing C of O in any state other than Lagos, you might want to mention it, or you are thinking of processing in any state other than Lagos, you might want to mention it. There may be one or two things that will be able to tell you. Not every state, but if you mention it, you never know. You never know. So these are the general requirements in any state in Nigeria. We have established that perfecting title, getting a C of O, is a revenue generating stream that the government of each state and the federal government does not play with. So general requirements. You need a tax clearance certificate. All the states that we have worked with right now are asking for tax clearance certificate. You need passport photographs. You need application forms. Sometimes it's free. In some circumstances, it's free. Some circumstances, it is paid. You need a certificate of incorporation if it is a company. You are thinking of perfecting in Ogun State now. Wow. Ogun State has, okay, I'll come back to this. Ogun State. Okay, I'll come back to it. When I'm done with this slide, I'll come to it. You need passport photographs. You need field application forms. In some circumstances, it's free. In some circumstances, it is paid. You need a certificate of incorporation if it is a company that is applying. You need the particulars of the directors if it is a company that is applying. You need a survey plan. All these things are compulsory. They are compulsory costs. No room for carryover if you want to do C of O. No room for carryover. You need a survey plan. You need root of title. That is, how did that property come to you? Did it originate in your forefathers? In certain circumstances, it can originate in your forefathers. But you and I know that in most cases, it doesn't originate with your forefathers. So, you need root of title. You need purchase receipt. In some circumstances, you need purchase receipt. And then you need a deed of assignment in also some circumstances. We're going to go into these things in greater detail. You just be patient. Okay. So, you're thinking of processing it in Ogun State. In Ogun State, it is fully paperwork. They were at the land registry was somewhere around CBN. They moved it into the governor's office. That process of moving upset a lot of their procedures. It upset a lot of it. So even processes that had been started were stalled. They were stalled substantially along the way. So we're having to tell people to be patient because the people that are processing it, there are sometimes that no matter what you do, you just can't move them. They move at their pace. That's one. Two, because they are not digitalized, all their C of O's are in a strong room. They have strong room. Now, because also of the proximity of Ogun State to Lagos State, they have a lot of registered title, a ton of it, a ton. So for them to work on registered title, especially if it's one that already has a C of O and needs other activities, it usually takes time. For example, just to get a CTC, certified true copy in Ogun State, can take you as much as 6 weeks because of the process of going to fish it out. There was a window in which it even took 2 months or more, or like 3 months, because of when they were moving from one location to another. However, it is not something that can be done. That's for Ogun State. Okay. Morning to Abuja. Hi, Ma. will you be sharing the slides with us as well? No, the slides are not free. But the video, the class is still available. You can watch it after. You are thinking of processing in Abuja. Yeah, if you are processing in Abuja, make sure that the place in which you are buying, first of all, is free from government acquisition. Buy from the one of the 6 local councils and ensure that it doesn't have existing title. There are different offices in Abuja. Abuja has done it in such a way that if you are buying in an estate, the scheme, you understand, you could go to FCDA, you could have to go to mass housing. There are a number of offices you have to touch in Abuja. Is split up, is divided somewhat in Abuja. So that is as far um as that goes. For Abuja, Abuja registration also takes time, like we said, because they are largely not digitalized and they are trying to resolve the issues of the local councils, the local governments that have issued R of O. You understand? So there's a lot of that going on. However, processing of title is quite pricey in Abuja and takes time because some of their processes are digital, some are not. Some of their processes are digital and some are not. You know, you are buying federal government land. And Abuja has been done in such a way that the way the minister has restructured it anyway, it should begin to pick up speed to be faster. It should, based on what we see that Wike has done, it should begin to pick up speed in the weeks and months to come. So, okay, next is, please, this is a compulsory course that uh, we will come back to it over and over again. All documents must be in the same name. All documents must be in the same name. All put together must, once there are name discrepancies, we need to do layers and layers and layers of stuff to resolve it. It's not as if it's not resolvable, but as much as possible, so that when you begin to talk about it with whoever is selling to you, when you're talking purchase receipt, you don't just say, just put this, don't just put anything. And when it's time to do survey plan, it's okay. No, don't do that. Everything comes to play in the process of procuring a certificate of occupancy. All right. So there are different kinds of title documents that can be procured. Like we said, there are different kinds. However, we are looking at for the purposes of purchase, ownership, not lease. Lease is a kind of interest, but it's different from purchase. Lease, you are welcome. Lease is a kind of title, right? But it's different from purchase. Mortgage is a kind of title, but it's different from purchase. But we're looking at title documents that can be procured in the purchase process. And those are the ones that we're going to be talking about today. Now, there are different general information. We are going somewhere. You need this basis of all the general information as we proceed. If you've come this far with us, I'm sure you can see that we're not playing and we're not here to just rub something on the head for you. We told you, I'm sure if you saw the videos, I must have told you that this is not about you coming to get a C of O, asking us to get you a C of O. It's what we can do, but that's not the aim. So it's not as if we come and scratch things on the surface, then we tell you to, no, 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 no. So if you have gotten value, you can be kind enough to us to hit the like button and then subscribe to our channel. That's all we ask. Just hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. We'll be very glad. We are saying thank you up front. So, general conditions. All perfections are done in the Bureau of Lands and Title of every state. The entire process. Every state has their independent Bureau of Lands and Survey. And if you're just coming, if you're trying to procure title anywhere outside of Lagos State, you might want to put the state in the comment section. Maybe we'll be able to tell you one or two things. It's not all the states that we've worked, but quite some. So if it's a state that we have some experience, we'll be able to give you one or two pieces of information that we know about perfecting title in that state. So if you have one state of interest that you're thinking of perfecting your title, please put it in the comments section. All perfections, like we said, are done in the Bureau of Lands and Title of every state. It's not done in the Ministry of Commerce. It's not done in the Ministry of Works and Housing. It's not done in the Ministry of Urban and Regional Development. If it's to perfect title, it is in the Bureau of Lands and Survey. And it is, I think it is in the Ministry of Lands. It is standalone. It's standalone because it's very complex, it's very sophisticated. There are a lot of other departments that can be tied to it. Urban and regional planning can be tied to it. However, the perfection gongon is done in the Bureau of Lands and Title of every state. All state revenue, this is very important. All state revenue are paid into designated state accounts. So if it's a revenue for the government in that process, it's paid into government account. If it is not paid into government account, it is not a revenue government has received, no matter how much it is in the process. There are many reasons why we are saying this. No matter how much it is in the process, 10 million, 25 million, 100 million, if it is not transferred into a government department, government account, sorry, it is not government revenue. So it is either their account with commercial banks or with CBN, and every such payment is receipted. Please, that your receipt is very important. Very, very important. Don't play games with your receipt of payment, of everything you pay on the journey. There may be other monies, but if it's called government revenue, it has to go into government account, either with CBN or with commercial banks, and it has to be receipted. Now, you can appoint somebody to follow through the process for you. It is legal, but you can decide to do it yourself. That's if you understand how the process works. Now, prime location charges. All of this is still introduction. We'll just calm down. We are going far. Prime location charges, right, differ from non-prime location charges, and each state has prime location. For example, Maitama in Abuja is not the same as Lugbe. Ikeja in Lagos is not the same as Ikorodu. Victoria Island is not the same as Bariga. Prime locations in each state attract a different kind of rates from non-prime location. So that is another piece of information that you want to hold dear to your heart. Okay, so we go to the next thing. Here are different kinds of title that can be procured. The general different kinds of title that can be procured. Certificate of occupancy from government allocation. Certificate of occupancy from deemed grant. Federal regularization, state regularization, and the popular governor's consent. So you can see that aside certificate of occupancy can be different. There are different kinds of certificate of occupancy. Then there's federal regularization, there's state regularization. They are also different. And then governor's consent is also a totally different kind of title. They all have independent processes and slightly varying documents, and we'll be showing them to you as we proceed. All right, so let's go on. So we go to EC of O. Now we're getting to the meat of this thing. If you have not liked, please like. Please be kind enough to like. If you are watching and you have not liked, please be kind enough to like and share with somebody that you know will get value from watching. And then please, you could also subscribe to YouTube channel, because there's so much that is happening and that's going to continue to happen in this space. Now, the EC of O in Lagos State, they are the ones that issue that EC of O. It covers their schemes. The people that get EC of O are the people that buy property from government. It's as simple as that. For example, Idera scheme, Agbara scheme. Agbara is not even Lagos State, Agbara is Ogun State. So if you buy from Ogun State government too, you get a C of O. Agbowa scheme, that's in Ikorodu. These are some schemes. So anytime you hear scheme, for example now, Epe, that Lagos State has acquired, and is a scheme, they have acquired it on the scheme. If they are going to begin to sell it themselves, it is going to come out with E-C of O. So and the government also, they don't only sell en mass, they sell in piecemeal, like the Agbowa scheme, they sold in piecemeal. They sold to prospective investors. States do it too. States, hello, states do it too. So the process of getting that, please turn on this thing. The process of getting that is going to be what we are discussed here. You get an application form for 10,000. Don't come here. You get an application form for 10,000, and for commercial area, it is 20,000. So for prime area or an area generally that is not commercial, it is 10,000. You know, we've already started by saying that different monies for different things. You are beginning to see it now. For prime location is 10,000. For commercial, it is 20,000. And non-prime is also 10,000. But once it's placed, we say their eyes there, it's 20,000 application form alone. You need 3 passport photographs, 5 cm by 5 cm on white background. All the passport photograph requirements follow this same standard. All the passport photograph requirements follow this same standard. 5 cm by 5 cm on white background. You know, I said that tax clearance is a recurring decimal. It's here now. This is tax clearance certificate. You need tax clearance certificate. You are going to pay 100 naira development levy. Then if it's a company, you need CO7. That is the particulars of directors. What did you say? Yes. So that is the beginning for the EC of O, right? Now, this is where it's beginning to get very interesting. You need 60%. There's something called fair market value. We'll talk about fair market value when we're done. You need 60% of fair market value that will be paid as premium. You need 25%. Is beginning to get very hot now. If you have people that need to hear, bring them to come and hear. It's one thing to see this thing, is another thing to hear the explanation. You need 60% of fair market value as premium. You need 25% on the same issue of after you have gotten all those documents. You need 25% of fair market value as capital contribution. 5% of fair market value you will pay for the survey. You know, you are buying from government. So the fair market value you are going to pay, this is all summarizes to 100%, but this is the breakdown. Now, you are going to pay 1% of the total amount as ground rent, 2% for stamp duty, 3% as registration and conveyance fee, 1% as admin charges, and 3% as development charges of fair market value. Fair market value we will talk about later. However, this is how your fair market value is going to be broken down for you when you. We'll get to fair market value. We'll get there. So the next one is the deemed grant. The deemed grant is the C of O of 2 individuals. For example, now, David, I asked the question. Maybe you're a realtor, and then maybe your real estate company is selling property that they bought from Omonile, and it could be valid. And then I now buy and say I want to go and get a C of O. That is a different kind of C of O. So if you've seen some of my videos on Instagram, you will have seen where I was talking about different kinds of C of O. Different kinds of C of O. Excuse me. Oh. So You'll have seen where we're saying everything is not COV1, there are different kinds of COV. This is a different kind of COV from the first one. This one is deemed grant. That's the easy name for me to use for you. It's called a deemed grant. Two individuals, I sell to or I buy from David, and then I want to get a COV. This is what I need. 2 copies of that transfer document that I used to buy from David, 2 copies of the survey plan, land information certificate. Land information certificate is gotten from the Bureau of Lands and Surveyor General's office. Leave it on. It's gotten from the Surveyor General's office. Now, this application form is not free. This application form, it is not free. It's 10,000 naira. This one too, you are going to pay 100 naira development levy. You need 3 passport photographs. You need a map of the site, and you need tax clearance certificate. Now, this is a part of it. These are the documents you need to separate from. In fact, you see, there are still more documents. You need a picture of the site, and you need a utility bill. You need a picture of the site, and you need a utility bill. Now, you are going to assessment will be issued and paid. Assessment is based on fair market value. Relax. So now, there's going to be in the process of in the COV application process, there's going to be another title search. Even though you are coming with your own search from the Surveyor General's office, there's going to be another search. These things are going to cost you independent monies that are not fixed based on location, which we started. There's site inspection. There's charting and endorsement, which is also going back to the Surveyor General's office for that. You are going to pay stamp duty. And then you're going to be issued your COV. So the cost of this whole process is 10,000 naira officially. After you do all of this, so aside from all of these payments, you'll be assessed. There's going to be a title search at the land registry. You'll be charged for that. There's site inspection. You'll be charged for that. Charting and endorsement. You'll be charged for that. So all this, right? Then for the issuance of the COV, you pay 10,000 naira, and then you're going to pay 3% of the fair market value. Basic thing that will be in your assessment is 3% of the fair market value. Fair market value, we'll get to fair market value. 10,000 naira plus 3% of fair market value for deemed grant. That is me and you. We agreed, we bought, and we sold. Right? Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one is federal regularization. Right? This is, for example, Banana Island. Well, Banana Island is federal regularization. You know, I said that this thing covers largely Lagos. So federal regularization. Banana Island comes with federal COV because it is under Old Ikoyi. So it comes with federal COV. However, you can't get building approval in Lagos if you don't regularize. So regularization is where you want to regularize federal land with Lagos State. That's federal regularization. You see that there are different processes now. So everything is not COV. That is how come I shout in the videos, everything is not COV. And asking the question in the DM, how much will it cost? We've been at it for the past 40 minutes. Please let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Please let me know if you can hear me. Please let me know if you can hear me. Oh, thank you. Because somebody had come to say they couldn't hear me, and that was beginning to... Okay, you can hear me now. So I was saying the price is subject to change. The price is subject to change, even though standard is 12% of fair market value. However, the price may not change, but they have opened the window for the price to change. So if it changes, if, for example, We gave you a quotation November last year. You said you wanted to do it. We said, okay, we did one last year. This is what we got for, assessment. And then you say, okay, you will come back next year. Then you now come back this year, June, and we start, and the price has changed. Their notice says that the price can change. So if the price can change, then we all have to be on the alert, which is why we don't like to give anybody a price for anything at all, even for our services, except they are ready. Because their process is not just price, the process changes. Anything that happens in their office could affect the process. Anyway, we'll get to things that delay the process. So there's also 3.1% of premium. It is the value of the premium that can change. What they call premium on it can change. It's at their discretion. So next we go to governor's consent, the all popular governor's consent. Hmm. Governor's consent is where there is a C of O or other registered ownership, maybe conveyance. For example, there are some properties that they had gotten title before the 1978 Land Use Act came out. There are some titles that exist. Some parts of Surulere, some parts of Ikeja, Mushin. There are some places like that. What they will get is governor's consent. Also, anybody that has a C of O and sells, what they will be giving whoever buys from the C of O, whether it's government issue C of O, whether it's individual that sold to each other, if they are selling, what the person coming to buy from them is getting is governor's consent. So this is the process of registering governor's consent. A completed form 1C, which is free. Certified true copy of the root of title. Since the governor's consent is going to rest on something, there has to be the root of title. There has to be a registrable deed of assignment. I can't overemphasize this. If the deed of assignment is not drafted in a way that it can be registered, it will not be registered. It's going to produce queries upon queries upon queries. So the standard format of drafting an agreement, straight jacket, exactitude, that is what has to be presented. So a lot of the stuff that is out there is not registrable because they are not well drafted. They have to be properly drafted to suit the standards, especially of government. Now, there has to be a survey plan, there has to be tax clearance, 2 passport photographs based on, as I've said, site photograph with date and time, a sketch of the place, a means of identification, a covering letter. Now, aside from all of this, the consent charge is 3% of fair market value. Any outstanding on existing title, that is, so when a C of O is issued, if you've ever seen a C of O, you see that they say ground rent charged at not even sometimes, a lot of times you don't take it serious. But when it is time to do anything with government, they are going to go back to that ground rent that is charged, and you will pay every naira before they will listen to you on that title. So that is any outstanding or existing title dues, any existing amount that is due and payable on the existing title. All right. So we are done. Now we go to 10 reasons why title perfection takes time. Like we said, people will come and say, oh, the person working for me, why is it taking so long? They want to know why it's taking so long. Here, we're going to be giving you some of the reasons. There could be more, but these are some of the reasons why title documents take long to be produced. All right. So, wrong application. The process is so complex that it is possible to commence with C of O when you should be doing deed of assignment, because some research, some investigation, part of what we do in due diligence investigation anyway, that's part of it. Some investigation has to be done to find out what's the status of that land in the eyes of the government. That will determine which application we are going to do. Is it C of O? Is it regularization? Is it governor's consent? Thank you. Is it governor's consent? So these are some of the reasons why it's delayed. Wrong application. If the application is wrong, if you file the wrong application, you're going to have issues. If the survey plan is not well drawn, I remember there was one survey plan we're working with some years back. For some reason, the way the area was mapped out and the way the survey plan was drawn were two different things. So the survey plan had issues. They had to send us back to go and start again. And to start again, yeah, it's not ordinary start again. No. To go and redraw the survey plan, go and resubmit it for approval, then start the process again. Can you see how long that's going to take? So if the survey plan is not well drawn or not drawn according to the current standards, correct mapping of the area, it could be an issue. Wrong document or badly drafted document, this has been mentioned. If the wrong document is submitted, if it is badly drafted, query upon query upon query. Please, if you've not liked, please please like this video, and if you are not subscribed, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you see when the video goes, so you see when any video goes live from us. If the location is under review, for example, before Lagos State declared Epe to be under acquisition, for some time it was gradually becoming difficult to do anything with the government on Epe because they were in the process of mapping out what they were acquiring. So if it is under review, either for release or for acquisition, it might delay the process. Inconsistent names. This was said at the beginning. It is repeated here for emphasis sake. The names must not be inconsistent, please, so that all of us, we sleep and sleep well. Error in the registration process. If this one may not even be the fault of the person registering, this could be their internal issue. It could be the fault of the person registering. It could also be their internal issue. At the point at which it is discovered, it's going to take the process back, and that is going to take a lot of time. Attempt to circumvent the process. This speaks a lot to people who feel that everything, a corner can be cut to everything. So you may, I did not say you will, because I don't know how you want to do it. You may be able to circumvent the process. You may be able to find a way to circumvent the process and get your documents out. The problem is that the person that circumvented that process for you is going to leave that seat. Did anybody see what happened in the demolition of the property that collapsed, the 22-story building that collapsed? Did anybody see what happened in the stories that came out after that? They are going to unearth a lot of things. If anybody saw the stories that came out on the 22-story building that collapsed, and the person who, the developer was in the building when it collapsed, so he went down with the building. If anybody saw the details of the story after that, you would understand what I'm saying. Anything can happen tomorrow. A Pharaoh is going to come who will not know Joseph, and is going to affect your real estate investment journey, because the title that you have been said to have, they are going to unearth it and say you don't have it again. And it's going to cost you more money, cost you more time. So please, let's stop attempting to circumvent. Let's just follow the process. No matter what it will take, follow the process. It is always easier and is always better. Now, change in procedure. Change in procedure. Like I was talking of in Ogun State. Ordinarily, they were moving offices. It affected the process. It affected the process in very complex ways that I can't even begin to discuss in this, in this video. And then a lack of understanding of the process. If the process is commenced by somebody who doesn't understand it, there are likely to be issues. Likely to be issues in how you would fill the forms, likely to be issues in how you will submit it, likely to be issues in where you are going to pay, what you are going to pay, what you are going to get, what you are going to write in your payment so that it will be generated on the receipt that will be produced for you. So many things can go wrong if the process is commenced by somebody who doesn't understand how the process is run. Even somebody who understands it, you must be on top of your game, because certain things change. Little things change here and there that can affect your ownership. All right. So now we go to what is fair market value. This is fair market value. If you've gotten value, please let us know in the comment section that, first of all, this webinar has been worth your time. Please let us know in the comment section. This webinar has been worth my time. It has been worth my time. This webinar has been worth my time. Please put it in the comment section. This has been worth my time. Please help us put it in the comment section. What is fair market value? Now, there's a price at which the property is sold, right? That price is quoted in the agreement. Previously, when government wants to assess how much you will pay them, thank you, thank you. Previously, when government wants to assess how much you will pay them, they used to assess it based on the price that you quoted in that document. But Nigerians became very smart. We started to circumvent government. So you buy property for 60 million and say they should write 16 million in that document for you. So they started writing 60 million. So it started affecting government's revenue. So what government did was they began to abandon, no matter the amount that you quote, that you bought it. So the idea of quoting small money or big money really does not do much for you, because government has determined how much that area and what you want to register is worth. And based on that determination, they call it a fair market value for the place. So they will assess you what you are going to pay based on their assessment of the fair market value of that place, which is determined by a lot of things: inflation, cost of property currently in that area, demand, different things determines fair market value. But fair market value is usually produced and constant. Like I said, it's premium that will change. Fair market value is constant. So fair market value has been produced and it is assembled in a document. It is now assessed by government in Lagos State. There are some states, however, that still use the value that is placed on the document. A lot of states still use that value that you write on the document. But Lagos State, no way. They don't agree with you. They use fair market value. Now, in Lagos State, fair market value, like we have said, is between 10 million and 400 million. 10 million, whether governor's consent, whether EC of O, whether deemed grant. Thank you very much. Whether EC of O, whether deemed grant, whether state regularization, whether federal regularization, they are all controlled by fair market value. And fair market value is between 10 million and 400 million per meter square. Maybe in one of the Instagram live sessions, I will show us what 1 meter is, 1 meter square is. So that 100 of that is what government is charging 40 million for. Because I think Eco Atlantic is 40 million. I think that, did I say 40 million? Between 10 million and 400 million. Between 10 million and 400 million. It is determined by factors such as the location, the size, and what is on it. For example, the places where they are building multi-units, maisonette, 8 maisonettes, and the place where they have just 2 bungalows are not charged the same thing. Government has begun to see that. Is it that for Lagos or across? Fair market value is Lagos, like I said. Moving to Abuja, fair market value is Lagos. Most states still use the amount that is quoted on the document. However, Lagos uses fair market value. Most states use what is quoted on the document. Lagos doesn't use what is quoted on the document. And there are some states in which they weigh what is quoted on the document with their own assessment. If what is quoted on the document is more, they will use what is quoted on the document. If their own assessment is more, they will use what is their own assessment. So you see, it's difficult to box anybody into a corner in this matter. It's difficult to look at the document and say, okay, based on this, this is what it's going to be. So this is the basic understanding of what fair market value is. This is the basic understanding of what fair market value is. Finally, as we have all seen, we are finally, putting thoughts together before we get to the conclusion. This webinar is free. Please watch it in the next 3 days. It might be taken down thereafter. We said that this is not cho. We didn't come and just give you an idea. We came to lay it for you exactly as it is, so that you have a clear perspective on how the answer to what's the cost of getting a C of O, how it will be answered. We came to lay it there. If you want to have your fair market value calculated, we can calculate fair market value for you. But what you need to do for us is you need to put something you have learned in this webinar on your stories in any of your social media handles and tag Mommy Real Estate or tag Adebimpe Show Me on any of the platforms. Once you do that, send it to my DM and write FMV. This offer is valid for 3 days. Your fair market value will be charged for you, will be calculated free. Do you understand? We ask you a series of questions and then you tell us, and then we tell you a range of what fair market value will be for that place. Just take something you have learned, put it in your stories, and tag Mommy Real Estate and send it to my DM with FMV. You will get fair market value charged for you, calculated for you for free. And if that is done,